When it comes to martial arts, you just need to know 2 words: horizontal and vertical.
Oh, here it is. The Grandmaster.
I don't want to hear nothing about no master. Isn't that the Ku Klux Klan movie?
Not Massa.
No.
Hey, man, no, I'm talking about this is like the Grandmaster, Grand Dragon of the Klan.
Did you already make this joke with the film The Master?
Oh, yeah, I guess I did.
Yeah.
But they didn't stop.
I don't blame
they
you.
They didn't
Hey.
stop using master in the title of these movies.
If it worked once, why not use it again? Come on.
The classics never get old.
Well, this is the latest film in representing a part of the life of Ip Man. Now, a lot of people have seen the Donnie Yen films, Ip Man 1 and Ip Man 2.
I have.
Which are martial arts spectaculars.
They're
to say
awesome.
the least. They are really, really awesome.
Yeah, they
now,
are.
they're far from the only films that have been made about them. In fact, but they did start a trend right now where everybody in Hong Kong is making movies about this guy.
I know the last 3 Asian films I've seen have all been about Ip Man.
Wait, is Ip Man a real guy?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was the guy who actually trained Bruce Lee.
Oh.
And he was well known as being the guy who opened up the style of Wing Chun, which is a major martial arts style, to where it wasn't only able to be taught to, like, you know, people who were rich and very carefully selected. There was a period in Hong Kong and China, of course, but with Kung Fu in China, where martial arts was only taught to very select groups, and every style was very protected, very secret, all sorts of things. So those things you've heard about Bruce Lee possibly being killed by a secret Kung Fu group because he gave away all those secrets. Okay, ridiculous, not true, but based to some degree on speculation that one can see where it came from.
Okay.
Because
If you ever seen that movie, The Dragon, it almost mirrors Ip Man's story with just him trying to get the martial arts out there. you know?
And this one is an odd film because it's being made by Wong Kar-wai, who is not the kind of guy. I think he's made one other martial arts film in his life. Most of his stuff have been very highly respected, but very arty type films like Chungking Express, Happy Together, 2046, The Grandmaster, Days of Being Wild.
Wait, the Grandmaster again?
Oh, sorry. Did I? Yeah.
Okay.
It's late. It's late. But one of the actors he's worked with a lot is Tony Leung, and he's brought Tony Leung here to play Ip Man. Tony more known for more serious acting roles than martial arts, but you know, it's fucking Hong Kong to some degree.
Yes.
You're not even
at some point, everybody has to be in a martial arts fan.
if you're a star in Hong Kong, you're gonna learn martial arts and fighting at some point because like that's like gotta be 70% of the industry, quite frankly.
Clearly.
And it only takes you about 10 minutes to really get into it and just, you know, full on do the whole damn thing.
Well, yeah, if they let Sammo Hung be a martial arts star, then I guess it's open to anybody.
But the thing about Sammo Hung is he genuinely is a real life total badass. He went to school with Jackie Chan.
I know this. That was my joke.
I was gonna geek out for a minute here and be like, don't you talk shit about Sammo Hung.
Christ, man.
You're screwing up his material.
I know.
You're talking shit about fat guys.
Okay, you've done that 3 times so far in this review.
You're talking shit about fat guys, and that's where I draw the line. Hey, he's our fat guy.
You know,
he's a super fat guy.
Cyrus's kung fu is very powerful at deflecting all of your jokes.
Well, this Wong Kar-wai got together with Yuen Wu-ping, who is the greatest martial arts choreographer living. He did like the Drunken Master film.
Anything with somebody kicking, he did it. This guy has done so much. His resume has become ridiculous at this
like
point.
The Matrix, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, nobody argues when they say, yeah, who's the greatest action choreographer is that guy.
Yeah.
And they brought him in. He's actually stars in a role in this as well. But this story, oddly, is not completely about Ip Man.
No.
Even though, because originally apparently it was called The Grandmasters, which is a much better title.
That's a way better title, yeah.
Because it really follows a whole series of different martial arts masters at the time, and the division between North and South China when they were trying to bring the Kung Fu of Southern China, which apparently was not considered as dominant at all, up to choose a representative to bring it to Northern China. The current, like, sort of the guy, the guy who's the leader of Northern China who's trying to facilitate all this. His daughter is played by, Zhang Ziyi, who, of course, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was the younger character on that. And she is like a complete and utter badass, but wants nothing to do at first with the idea of mixing in these Southern rednecks. The problem is Ip Man is the guy they've chosen, and he has to go through quite a bit just to prove himself even capable of this honor. Yeah. The first half of this film is largely this story of him sort of working his way through there, meeting all these people, a number of very stylish fights. The second half of this movie is actually more about her and her story as she is dealing with the guy who was sort of with her father, the number two to him, who kind of betrayed the family to the Japanese when they came in and took over China. He turned into a turncoat, and it was her, and took over the school after he died by force. And it's her kind of figuring out a way to regain her family's honor, basically, and prove that this guy's just a fucking schmuck and even a girl can kick his ass.
Which is the one thing that kind of derailed me from this movie watching it. Because, yeah, it really does turn into her film where Ip Man's just like me. He's just sitting down listening to this whole story. And at first I was like, okay, wait a minute. I thought that this movie was all about Ip Man. He's on all the posters, right? He's in the entire trailer. It's like his story. And you realize, well, no, it really isn't at all. It's about these schools getting together, and we're just kind of on the journey with him trying to get all these guys to do their, to make their yin yang,
Because you guys are giving me a serious Crouching Tiger flashback.
Well, it's not it has romance in it, but it's not a romantic film in the way that
Not
was.
at all.
And neither is it wuxia with the people on wires and stuff. It's straight up fighting.
But while I didn't like the so much the wire work in Crouching Tiger, what I really ultimately didn't like was that, hey, I came to see the story of Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh, and yet somehow in the middle it got totally hijacked by Zing Zhang Yu, and I was like, I don't care about her and her story, and now this movie's all about that. Fuck!
Yeah, well, she's done it again.
And I will say this, this is, once again, even regardless of there being lots of martial arts, it is still very much an art film. And they're not, the way he films, Wong Kar-wai films martial arts is to focus really on the specific moments of it, like the movements, and to show this is the differences between these styles, and really let you know in the midst of incredibly well filmed action scenes, so you really have an idea of what they're doing and what the difference is in the way these guys are fighting. And then the story is about why that's important and why it meant so much to all these people, how they protected all these styles so, to the death of protecting their secrets, and how Ip Man ended up being sort of the key that unlocked and started to change all that in China, where these were opened up to where people were proud and they started teaching their secrets to outsiders. It wasn't just you only teach members of the family, which is really how it was.
Yeah.
Well, the sad thing about this film, though, is that the way that it's being sold, the way it's being advertised, especially in the trailers, if you're going in here thinking that you're going to see another Ip Man movie like we saw with the Donnie Yen movies, you're going to be sorely disappointed. I mean, a lot of that artsy kind of direction, especially with how they're shooting the fight scenes, which are very slow. You're seeing the sleeve of a guy's shirt before it gets to his hand, so you see the movement at play, and it is a very slow paced fight scene. You get quite a few of those. I think it's going to leave people kind of going, this is not what I was told it was going to be, and I find myself a little bored, because honestly, I started to get a little bored, and maybe it's because I've already seen 2 Ip Man movies, and let me also say this. There's a third Ip Man movie out there, too.
With a different actor.
With a different actor. So I kept wondering, wow, how many different stories can we go into, besides the story that they still haven't really told, which I don't even know if there's all that much of a really big story there. But when he actually had the opportunity to teach Bruce Lee, how he basically created Bruce Lee, I'm always waiting for this type of movie to go in that direction. Yet, once again, it is about a lot of the history of this guy and what he did for the world of martial arts, which is fine, but I think this is more of the Oscar contender Ip Man story that they're really trying to put out there, because that's how it really felt. It's a slow burn type of film, and they really do want you to enjoy it. They want you to really get the most out of the performances, but at the same time, I thought all the character development, all the, the stories that they're trying to intertwine between these characters really falls flat, because there's no real sense of emotion, even when this quote unquote romance that they kind of hint at. there was nothing there to even make me feel that Ip Man even really cares for this girl all that much besides what we're being told and what we're being shown. It's definitely being thrown in your face, yet you don't feel any sense that these two have any real connection.
Well, I understand what you're saying with the sense, like, you did have an expectation going into this, and I'd already read a lot about it saying, don't expect that. It's not that kind of movie.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Wong Kar-wai films, and I was like, this had more action than I was expecting, quite frankly, so I was really pleased. I think that what they're trying to do, there's nothing wrong with this film except for the thing you brought up, that yes, it tries to insert emotion into it where I just didn't get it at all. It was like the parts where it's trying to make this heartfelt connection between these characters left me very cold. And maybe part of that is lost in the translation. I mean, this is a movie of all the movies the Weinsteins were going to choose to try and push to America, like, and hope to make money from general audiences. I don't know why they picked this one.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think
Bad choice.
I personally loved this movie, but I'm hyper familiar with Chinese, like, you know, the Chinese film industry, the history of Ip Man, all these martial arts styles. I know a lot about this stuff. Your average audience member is going to have no fucking clue what this movie is trying to do or talking about, quite frankly. And it's a baffling choice to try and, I mean, literally baffling why this would be the movie that they would pick to try and bring here. That being said, people who like me, who really follow martial arts films, who love this stuff, and want to see something different, this is something really different. And I've never seen martial arts action sequences filmed this way. And that's saying something, because there's got to be tens of thousands of martial arts movies out there, and I've never seen anybody who did what Wong Kar-wai does with these fights. Is it slower at points? Yes, but only because it slows down for a moment in the middle of an otherwise fast-paced fight to show you the intricacy of the movements. Like I said, he wants to show you what these people are actually doing, what those movements are, to show the fluidity of it, and it works, and it's beautiful to watch.
I mean, because it is like a song and dance. I mean, I love these martial arts films. There's times when, you know, just me thinking, as far as the general audience sitting there's like, this is completely going to go over their head. They're not looking at the art. They don't give a shit about that. They just want to see some crazy ass fight scenes, especially when you got a trailer where you're featuring RZA doing the soundtrack or whatever. You know,
okay, I'm failing.
But thank God
you said the wrong thing.
His music is not in there at all. Not in it at all.
There.
Yet it's being advertised as that.
That's Harvey Weinstein, totally. He cut a trailer with a RZA song in it, and it's embarrassing.
I'm like, dude, this is not the 1990s anymore. Stop that shit.
Yeah, you can't blame this movie for what Weinstein did with the trailer. It's like, even to watch it when it came out, before anyone even saw this movie, people were like, what the fuck, Harvey?
But I mean, yeah, the fight, like I said, the fight scenes are very, very beautifully shot because, yeah, there is sort of a dance to it all.
Although not even to the extent that Crouching Tiger was, where it was much more dance in a lot of ways than it was martial arts. This is definitely real martial arts, flat out. It's just the way that the camera moves and the shots they do, the intricacy of it, the intimacy of the way it's shot makes you can't help but think of dance.
No, you're right. But the other thing I was also kind of annoyed at is that, like, the more important points about what this guy has actually done, I thought they kind of went in a Cliff Notes version of it. You know, there's always some kind of, like, you know, narration going on between scenes to kind of, you know, kind of skim through time. And it's always the most important things that, you know, it's the important stuff about Ip Man that everyone either reads about or really wants to know more in depth about. And this film, I constantly saw them just skipping all over it, where I'm like, man, come on, this is what we want to, that's kind of why I'm here. I want to hear these other stories that the other Ip Man movies haven't really had a chance to really tell.
Well, it has that feeling, like, when it does that it's like a TV miniseries.
It really does.
Where it's like, it goes black and it goes, you know, like, this is what happened over the next 5 years. Now we take you to the scene after that. And it does that repeatedly.
Damn.
And I was like, really? But I kept noticing there were no Chinese characters on those scenes. Because a lot of the other scenes, there were subtitles and it was black. There'd be a Chinese characters on the screen as well. Not in those. And I tell you right now, it's because Harvey Weinstein chopped almost 30 minutes out of this movie.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Because that's how it felt. It really felt like a lot of this film was missing. Like, it just the way that the structure of the story was going. I mean, and I've seen some foreign films where they have weird structure, but this just didn't make sense because I know I've seen Asian films where they're at least somewhat competent, at least trying to tell their story, because that's the thing, their focus is the story a lot of times. It's not about visual effects or anything like that. Sure. This felt like, big chunks of it were taken out, and saying that watching those other Ip Man films, this felt like the deleted scenes clips of those other Ip Man films. Yeah.
I don't think I agree with that.
To an extent, with the exception of the fight scenes, everything else really did feel like that. You know, if Ip Man isn't fighting, or at least is trying to encourage people, look, we all need to learn all our own martial arts so this stuff isn't forgotten about. Once they leave that alone and you get into all the other bullshit that this movie is trying to tell, it really does feel like it probably should have been left on the cutting room floor.
It's a shame because I like a lot what the movie's trying to do in terms of story. I mean, I full-blown love the martial arts sequences. I don't have a bad word to say about them. I think they're phenomenal and totally unique in the industry. But that being said, I agree with co-host on a lot of the problems is the story. It's so staccato and broke up. It doesn't give you a chance to have an emotional connection with these characters. And even what it's trying to say, its actual story, is not terribly well translated to the West. I mean, there's a lot of sequences of the film afterwards. My girlfriend's like, well, what did that part mean? It was like, I have no fucking idea.
It's like you and everyone else are going to be saying that.
It's like, I'm the guy who actually watches all these movies and knows a lot about this period and this culture, and I didn't have a fucking clue at points what they were talking about.
I'm telling you, though, you miss an opportunity to really razzle-dazzle her with some bullshit you can pull out of your head about the martial arts. Oh, I'm such the martial artist fan that I will explain this to you,
this
big
was
dummy.
This happened in the Chengso gang period in China when there was the second boxer rebellion.
Yes, from the Wu-Tang clan.
Keep going.
Wait, is that real? Oh, yes.
Oh, totally.
I keep going. Well, when's the Bruce Lee part going to happen? If I could say one thing, if anybody else, because there's going to be more Ip Man movies, please stop ending your damn Ip Man movies with the one shot of little Bruce Lee going, hey, can I join your karate class? It's like every movie. I'm like, will you please just quit teasing us with that shit and just tell that story already? Well, make some shit up.
There used to be in the 80s, there was a big thing for a while, especially in Jet Li movies, where they're always teaming people up with a little kid who could actually kick ass and was awesome.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of those. I forget the name. There's this one kid who was so badass that you'd be like, oh my God, that kid's like 8. He could beat all our asses literally without getting off the couch. I was like, I kind of want to see that Ip Man film. He's going around the country with like Kane and Kung Fu, but with Bruce Lee, little baby Bruce Lee by his side, kicking everybody's ass and taking names.
I can only wish.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead, I guess, get to the review here. I think there's so much in here that's just magnificent, but it's hampered possibly by, more than anything, by the Weinstein's cut of it, which certainly makes it discordant and hard to understand at points, as well as that this is a film about details of martial arts and Chinese history that are going to be confusing as hell, I think, to Western audiences in general, which really hurts the telling of this as a story. That being said, I still really enjoyed this. I thought it was absolutely beautiful to watch. It's some of the best cinematography I've seen all year, and one of the most interesting ways to shoot martial arts I've ever seen. I'm still going to give this a low full price.
Yeah, I will give you I will give you credit for at least mentioning how beautiful it is, because that's the thing. It is a beautiful film to look at, but, you know, I can only take the beauty of martial arts films so long because there's so many gorgeous martial arts films out there that I think are far more entertaining than this one could have been. Saying that, yeah, I mean, it really did, it left more questions than answers, just as far as like, man, they're still not ever gonna tell me this story about what Ip Man did during this war and whatnot. So, man, I guess I'm gonna have to wait till at least 3 more films down the road when they decide to make those to get those answers. But, saying that, yeah, I mean, I have to give this a rental because, yeah, a lot of it just felt, unnecessary to me.
You know, so I should instead just go re-rent the 5 Deadly Venoms.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, you know, Donnie Yen, who of course played Ip Man in the first 2 really popular ones, he was asked, well, why aren't you coming back for more of these? They make so much money and everybody loves them. He's like, because there's like 18 Ip Man films being made right now. Okay? I'm going to try something a little different. And sure enough, he's right. There's like so many Chinese folk heroes that they go through these trends of like everybody's making movies at once. For a while, it was this guy Wang Fei Hung that Once Upon a Time in China and Drunken Master are both based on aspects of his life. And I'm like, there's still...
I would complain, but I'm sure they would say like, oh, really? How many Batman and Sherlock Holmes films do you need?
But there's one big, like classic Chinese folk hero they still haven't even done a single movie about. And I'm like, it's driving me crazy. Where?
Hong Kong Fu.
Exactly.
I was about to say, yeah, I know. You stole my joke, damn it, Leon.
The guy on the ground is wrong. The last man standing up is always right.